Cameraman Grades, cameramangrades.com. How to film football, training and professional consultations for camera operators, video coordinators, and sports video experts at all levels. Find us at cameramangrades.com or contact us directly at cameramangrades@gmail.com to improve your sports video. Currently looking for the best camera operator of the 2025 NFL season? These are the best of the best, and we are putting it to the test. Today we're looking at the Washington Commanders, Week 10 versus the Detroit Lions. Very excited to do this one for the Commanders, celebrating the 250 years of the United States of America. Let's just jump right into it. Wow. Great hit. Okay, great setup to start. No knee-jerk reactions. Seeing what's happening on the field and adjusting with very minor movements accordingly. Fantastic job to start. Okay, very tight here on the backside of the safety, within a yard or two. Backside of the running back, and then straight ahead run. Everybody's right there in the frame. That looks really good. Great start. Okay, now we're into our first expanded formation here. Got 3 receivers to the left side there, top of the frame, and stayed with it fairly well. There was room to tighten it up behind the quarterback to start, but was a pretty good opening series for the filmer. I'm sure the Commanders themselves did not want to go 3 and out to start on offense. But, oh my goodness. There's some wild special teams play going on. Love it. Great job of staying tight behind the returner as they came across. So, all right, again, tight formations, run straight ahead. Makes sense. Okay. You can definitely cut down on some of the back and forth movement, but just allowing everything to happen in the frame. They're staying really tight though. Okay. Maybe a little too tight, all right? We want to make sure that the safety's footwork continues to be in the frame. Right here, right there, right? You just want to be able to see it. And guess what? We're missing this footwork, and we still have 4 yards behind this player on the right-hand side. So if I'm trading, if I'm trading grass for players, I'd rather flip that and trade and see more players and less grass. Less grass, more football. Okay? It's not a catchphrase, it's a motto, okay? It's the most important thing that my coach told me. I had a coach that was really good at boiling things down to very simple terms. And when I asked him what I could do to help our team improve, that's all he said. Less grass, more football. Right, and there it is. Fantastic. Look at this. Okay, look at this. Within 5 yards, both sides. Okay, watch this. At the widest point, they're still within 5 yards, and then they start coming back in. I saw numbers and players throughout the entire play there. Just minor adjustments, minor zooming out to keeping everybody in the shot. All right. Fantastic. Looking really good so far. Okay. All right. Formation, tight set. If it's going to be a run, it's going to that single back right there. Nope, he's pulling it back and he's throwing up the sidelines. Long ball to the end zone. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Look how quickly that all turns around, right? And that's the thing. It's like you have to be able to see it, and you have to be able to anticipate it for this to happen. Knowing that these are the options, you can see the receivers running out into routes immediately. They're making no effort to block these guys. Okay, great indicator. Safety's dropping hard, fast. Great indicator as to where this is all going. And then you can see the quarterback pulls it back and then sends it. All right, but look at that. Look at that. Look at that. So good. Ball's away. Okay, at this point, this is the farthest, widest point, and within 5 yards both directions, finding the ball and then zooming up on it. You can't do it much better than that. Fantastic job. 3rd and 6. Okay, a lot of space behind the quarterback, 10 full yards behind the quarterback, and then zooming out. Okay, so starting wide and then zooming out is not a good plan, right? Are they going sideline to sideline? No. They're past the top of the chains here. There's nobody pressing this edge. At this point, let's just see if this is the widest point. This is the widest point. Okay. Let's just put this right where the frame could be. Right about there. Okay. Tighten that up a little bit. Using less than 70% of your frame. Right about 70. Okay. Definitely opportunities to tighten that up. Nice. The run recognition. Okay. As soon as you see the run, you can stop your zoom. Might be a little bit, just a little bit of zoom. Still within 5 yards. Not a lot of zoom, just barely. Because there's nobody really pressing the edges, because they're not going to, because they're not running routes, right? They're engaging the person across from them, and making blocks, as opposed to this, right? The complete opposite, right? You can see it immediately. As soon as this play starts, where's everybody going? Everywhere. Oh, into the end zone. Let's go. Okay. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Look at this. So tight on the edges. Man. That is fantastic. What a play. What a great job by the filmer for seeing it. Loved it. And then we're going to set it up for the kick. Extra point. No movement. Perfect. Perfect setup. Perfect execution. All right. And then the kickoff. Okay. Perfect. All right. Let's start here. Okay. This is something I say to a lot of people. Is there any reason to, a lot of the videos that I've seen, is there any reason to leave space behind the kicker? Never. Right? Absolutely never. And they don't leave an inch behind that kicker. They actually had to zoom out because he backed up one more step than they were expecting. Okay, and then here's it tight, and now here coming in. Okay, if you're going to keep the kicker in the shot, this is the way to do it, right? You can tighten it up even more than that, right? There is a point where you can tighten it up here, right? You had to zoom out to make sure that they got the ball in the shot, but just knowing that this is going to condense down very, very quickly, you can zoom in a little bit more. But right there, once they got to this point, they're not zooming out, they're not making any knee-jerk reactions, they're still seeing all 22 guys in the shot, right? And now they're cutting that out and getting down to get a more detailed shot. Wow. I like it. Okay. All right, they're going sideline to sideline. All right, top to bottom. You can see it. Sideline to sideline. All right, they're going a little high up here at the top, but within reason at this bottom sideline. And then there you go. Not bad. Very, very usable footage there. Oh, thought that was going to be a quick pitch to the side, right? Did it look like that? Or I just seeing that? Zip. Nope, there it is, right? Little play action pitch outside and then quick pass across the middle. Sweet. Fantastic job. And way to see it, right? All right, I'm thinking this is a pass. Oh, run. Go on the far side. All right. Awesome. Great job. They're doing such good work here, staying so tight. Look how vibrant that is. Okay, look how close they are and staying up with everybody as they're running these routes. Wow. All right. Talk about not having a lot of space behind your quarterback, right? What's going to happen back there? Nothing. Got a few yards. You're good. Okay. 2, 3, 4 yards. Got a little bit of space up in front. Okay. Within 10 yards. Makes sense. So, quick pass to the far side there. Gets batted down. I saw all that. That looks really good. All right. I like it. If you're going to have extra space, have it on the defensive side of the ball. And that's what they're doing all along the way. They're really keeping a good amount of space, behind the quarterback here to be able to make sure that this all stays in the shot. Okay, once the ball's away, I would say that that's probably the indicator where you can stop zooming out right here. Ball's away, still zooming out to here. Okay, once he throws this long ball to the end zone, you can recognize that and start to move up. All right, great job though. Third and 10. It's a passing situation. You gotta figure it. We're 3rd and 15. Even more of a passing situation. 33% more. There you go. Okay. Oh, they would have got the 10 yards too. Shoot. All right. Great job. 4th and 7, kicking it. Okay. Got to kick a little every once in a while. Looks good. Little Texas. 10. Referee said 10. Okay. I think they only get 3 points for that. All right. Kickoff. Yeah. Deep. Had to zoom out to keep it up, keep it in the shot. Great job. Excellent work. All right. Here we go. Okay. Now we got some space behind the quarterback. Can we cut it down? Yeah. That works. Looks good. Motion across. Okay. Awesome. All right. So you can see the thought process here, right? There's zooming out. This is a run, right? But you've got all this activity coming this direction. You got the rollout. You got a possible receiver coming back into this way. You got a receiver that's coming out this way. You got a receiver's going out that direction, right? This could easily be a play action pass. But they're within 5 yards both directions. Recognizing that once it becomes the run for sure, they're zooming back in. Run recognition. That's about as good as you're going to do on that to keep everybody in the shot for the possible play action. All right. Motion going around behind the offense. This is looking really good. This is really good football video. Coaches want to see the players on the field. Are we seeing that? Yeah. Coaches don't like to see a whole lot of extra stuff. Are we seeing extra stuff? Well, yeah. Okay, we've got more than 10 yards behind the quarterback here, here and here. But top to bottom, you have to have, this wide out in order to keep these guys in the frame. But the one thing I would say is if you were to, put it 2/3, instead of having the ball here, right, you move it over to this 2/3 line, then that puts the offense more along this range here, and then the quarterback drops back to right about here, right? So you still have your 5 yards behind the quarterback, and then if there is extra space, it's on the defensive side, because that's where the ball's going. Everything's going this direction. We're going to be throwing passes to the corner of the end zone. You're just expecting that that's going to be the case, instead of expecting that the ball's going to be snapped to the sky cam, right? I know it can happen. I guess I've seen similar situations like that, but let's just figure that's not going to be the case here, and not keep this in there to make sure that I, can stay up with this receiver, and not have to zoom out so far to stay up with that receiver, right? We're starting to gain space up here that we don't need, because we had this extra space that we're keeping, and then having to zoom out with this guy. Right. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Awesome. Okay. That works. Still keeping that space behind the quarterback at this point. It was not the case going the other direction. It is the case here. Running back's in that space now, so that helps. Let's see what happens here. There's that rollout. Oh my gosh, it's the same play. It's the exact same play, right? It is the play action pass that we were talking about just a second ago. Here's the receiver coming this way. Here's the same receiver, same guy going this way. There's a receiver ends up, instead of going that direction, he's coming across, looks like. Okay. Doesn't go the way they were hoping. Looks like the Commanders were expecting that, out of what we saw earlier. So they must have been game planning for that all week, because that looked really good. Okay. Great job. Yep. Yep. And they're in. Awesome. It's in for a score. Lining up the kick. Got it. I think. Okay. Sometimes the referees will actually make an indication. Sometimes they'll get around to it eventually. Okay. Kick off. Keeping the kicker in the shot. And then zooming back in. Some NFL teams are keeping the kickers. Some of them aren't. It's a coach's preference. I would actually, I have my own thoughts on it, and I would actually recommend to drop the kicker unless he's going to be getting into the shot himself. For the most part, a lot of the kickers don't always get involved. So keeping the kicker in the shot kind of takes away from the other 21 guys on the field. How does it take away? Because they get small, right? They just get tiny. And then you keep one person in the shot that, makes it so that you can't see as much of the other 21 guys. Not here, though. Okay, we're within 5 yards. This looks good. Okay, little bit past 5 yards here, kind of expanding past 5 yards, really within 10 yards at this point, and then going to find the ball. Okay, you can stay a little tighter on it, but on the whole, looks really good. Got a first down, moving the ball. Might be the last play of the first quarter. We might be switching after this one. We'll see. Squeeze one more play in. Let's see it. You're like, no, we'd rather score going this direction. And they go for it. Okay? Awesome. All right. Second quarter. Flipping sides. Oh, no, it's not. They actually kept 1 second on the clock. All right. Cool. All right. Anticipate and respond to the changes that take place on the field. And there it is. Okay. I was anticipating that we're going to be going the other direction by now. We're not. We're within 1 yard here, 2 yards here, 3 yards total. Bam. 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 Awesome. This was so good. I mean, not for the offense, but for the filmer. Awesome job. All right. For the offense, it's 4th and 22. They're punting in that situation, as any team would. All right. Wow. So the gunner goes well off the sidelines, and it doesn't matter because somebody's down there to clean it up. Holy smokes. Great job. I saw all that. I saw everything that took place in there and kept it tight in order to make sure that I could see as much detail as possible. And again here, jeez. This filmer's dialed in. This is good. This is good. This is really good. That's fantastic. Let's go. Love it. Yeah, there was a couple negatives or missed opportunities early on in the film, a couple of earlier series, but at this point, I'm just seeing nothing but positives all the way down. Okay, any negatives or missed opportunities would be in this side. It's not really a negative because I'm not saying that you lose points for it. You just don't gain any positive traction. You got all these opportunities to be positive with it. All right, to make positive improvements every single play, to positively impact your team every single play. And if you're not doing that, it's just a missed opportunity. It just ends up as a 0 on your score sheet, right? Balls up and balls down. Okay? Wow. All right. But in the meantime, within 2 yards behind the running back, you have 5 yards behind the corner on this side. We're within 5 yards both directions for almost the entirety of this play. Possibly the whole thing. Yeah, pretty dang good. All right. A little bit of zoom out right there at the very, very end, but 99% of that play was spot on. All right. Okay, 2nd and 10. Passing. Yep. Looks great. Third and 2. Okay. Maybe a run right up the middle, or they're going to try to pass for 2 yards. Run right up the middle. Get your 2. Okay. Oddly enough, those were the options that I came up with. They're either going to run or pass. Okay. But playing the statistics, looking at the odds of what are we going to do when we need 2 yards, a lot of teams opt for the run, and that makes a ton of sense. Okay, you just see it 1,000 times, and then you say, okay, well, what would I expect them to do here? And if they don't, say, oh, That was a pass when I thought it was going to be a run, so I got to adjust. Okay, we're getting a little wider here on the back side of the defense. Okay, past 10 yards at this point. But they fill in this frame. They stop zooming out and fill in that frame and then come back in. Looks good. Run up the middle. Again, everybody's tight. Tight to the edges. I'm seeing numbers throughout the entire play, right? I'm seeing footwork and hand placement and people jumping off sides and balls getting released right away to avoid a sack. All kinds of stuff. I don't know if that was no play or a free play. Not sure. You know what? Because of that, I'm just going to say it was really good. Okay? I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt that that was an actual play. Let's go. Okay, this play's still going on. And into the end zone. Holy smokes. All right, here we go. All right. Bam. Bam. That's within 5 yards total, right? He's coming to the edge. Okay, there's some space up here. We can definitely come down. Do they? Yeah. Is it a run? Yeah. Are they staying tight? Also, yeah. Look at that. Ooh, buddy. Coming this way. All right. And now we're coming in. All right. Starting to zoom in, and there's the play. Push to the end zone. Let's go. Looking good. 1 yard line? Did they not make it in the end zone? They didn't make it in the end zone. They're in the end zone now, so cool. Okay. Not quite sure what happened there. Did they get the... You get a 2-point conversion from the 1 yard line? Okay. Must be nice. Alright, awesome. Let's go. Top to bottom, using every bit of the frame. Okay, got some space behind the quarterback, no space behind the safety. Let's flip that. Okay, let's cut that space down. Let's go. And they do, right? If we find that point, it's right here, right? Okay, they flipped it. They took the space from behind the quarterback and put it behind the safety. There's the space, and now there's the space, right? But really good overall throughout the entirety of that play. Looks really good. Okay. Run forward, top to bottom. Got a guy right at the edge, right? So, hey, we got to go sideline to sideline, top to bottom, to make sure we keep everybody in the shot. Yeah, and no further. Awesome. Okay, run straight ahead. Got a guy right to the top edge. Looks really good. Second and 1. Okay. Probably going to be something similar. Straight ahead. Get your 1 yard. Okay. A little bit of zoom out to make sure they kept everybody in the shot. And then there you go. Just barely. Okay. Just enough. Any more than that is going to be, you know, very excessive. All right. Quick pitch coming this way. Not a lot of zoom out needed when the pitch is coming towards you. Okay. Just a little bit right there. It's probably enough. This guy's going to start condensing this way. This receiver is going to try to get in his way. So all of this is coming this direction anyway. This is where you need to focus. The ball could be coming, you know, to the bottom edge, But at that point, you're going to focus on that anyways, right? So zooming out, still zooming out puts you into this category here. Okay. About 80%. Okay. And certainly zoom up on it, which they do. There you go. All right. Second and 12, drop back pass. Okay. You see it almost immediately. Holy moly. This guy's up in the air. All right. So zooming out, okay. Here you can see the drop back is almost immediate. You can tell that there's no effort to really hand off or even play action that. So one step, two step, looking downfield, right? Gaining extra space behind the quarterback's not going to be helpful in any scenario there. Gaining extra space across the top and the sides is going to be less helpful. All right. How much less? This much. About 75%. Okay, 75% of this screen is actually football. We're going to see where they go from there. Okay, there's the leap. Boing. And he's up and he's down. Okay. All right. All right. Okay. Similar situation here. If you're going to zoom out, you got to have a reason for it, right? Are we zooming out to get more grass? Or because people are actually running to the edges? Let's see. 70%. All right, 4th and 1. Big play. Going for it. What a shot across the middle. Holy smokes. All right, let's go. All right. So the motion here, he wants to zoom in, right? Yeah, a little bit of zoom in, but it's so close to the snap. He's like, I don't got time for that. I got people running downfield. I need to take care of that. Hits the edge here. A little bit of space here, a little bit of space here. You can certainly cut it down. Plenty of space behind the offense at this point, and plenty of space across the top. So again, just to see where it could be if we were to stay tight. It's not going to be that extensive because of the top to bottom. Okay, you're about 80 to 85%. Okay. And they got the first down, so they keep the ball, and they have a shot at the end zone. Okay. Just for context, it's 22-3. The Commanders have not crossed the goal line yet. They're looking to do it right here, top to bottom, spot on. Okay. Down to the 1 yard line. I'm gonna punch it straight forward. Nope. They don't want any part of that defensive line. No, they do. We want it. We want all of it. Bam! The Tiger's like almost gets his head taken off by that spike. All right, let's go. All right. So there you go. Right? I was thinking they were gonna, maybe play action or try to just drop back and throw it to the corner of the end zone on 2nd and 1. And I would have just thought that to be the case based on the formation. And as you see the run go straight ahead, you don't have to zoom out with it. You've already got the framing. You're already ready for the pass if needed. And then when you find out it's not a pass, it's a pleasant surprise. You don't have to do anything, right? Just leave it. Show what's going to happen on the field. Kickoffs are not that way. You can't just leave it. You have to do all kinds of stuff. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Okay. So receivers going long on this, right? Look at this. That's 5 yards total. Both sides. 5 yards both sides. Okay, a little bit more space here, a little bit of space here right at the end. But on the whole, that looks really, really good. Okay. Nice tight setup to start. Motion coming this way, ball going that way. Okay. That works. Looks really good. Okay. It's decent. Certainly ways that you can tighten that up. There was a lot of space across the top. There was a lot of deception in what they were doing there. You know, faking like that was going to be a run, quick pass out to the outside. This one, slightly different, right? What's going on here? This could be a pass, but no. Is there anything indicating pass here? No. This guy's just going straight at it. This guy's going straight at it. You know, they're just trying to get in front of blockers, in front of defenders to throw blocks. Okay. If you can tighten it up to start, would be helpful, because right there, if you're zooming out from there, then that's going to be the point where I would say, like, you're going to gain a lot of space on a run, which is clearly run, right? There's no routes. There's nobody, no receivers going downfield. If they decide to bounce out of this, you could stay right here and still see all that happen, right? If they decide to shoot to the sidelines, this ends up being a 5 yard out. This ends up being a 5 yard out. You can zoom out when you see that happen, but you don't. It doesn't happen, so you don't see it, right? It's just a straight run right up the middle. And by doing that, what we got? 15 yards, 20 yards. Okay, so that's where I would say, like, just hold off for a second. Wait to see what actually happens on the field before you just knee-jerk zoom out. This is 4th and 1. Okay, you gonna try to get 1 yard straight ahead? No, pulling it back for the play action. Okay, wow. Okay, there. Okay. No knee jerk. Why? Because we're expecting this to be a handoff. This is expected to be a handoff. No, it's not. What's coming off of that? Well, routes are coming off of that. People are, going out into coverage. The quarterback's rolling out this direction. You have to zoom out for it. Within 5 yards. Within 5 yards. Passes away. Quarterback gets knocked down. This safety is going to try to come over here and get to this guy. This guy is going to try to come over here and block the safety. Look at that. I knew it. I knew he was going to do that, right? Anticipate what's going to happen on the field. Respond when it does. But don't knee-jerk react to just stuff that happens on the field, or stuff that you think is going to happen that hasn't actually happened yet, right? The point is to respond when it does happen, to be ready for it before it happens, and then wait for it. And then when it does happen, you'll be like, yep, I knew that was coming. I knew that rollout play action on 4th and 1 was going to happen. I didn't know that. I don't know. I haven't broke down these offenses enough to know that that's a tendency of theirs on 4th and 1, or to know that they've got that in their playbook even, but the filmer probably does. It sees it, all throughout the week, and very, very familiar with what they're expecting from all the video breakdown that they've been doing all week long. Okay, bam, bam. Okay, going a little farther out here. Still going farther out. And, you got a lot of space back there at this point. All right. Do I think that the filmer is sitting there and breaking down the Lions' offense and their tendencies? No. Do I think they've seen some video this week that the team's been watching? Absolutely. Have they been, actively involved in getting them that video? Probably. So it makes sense that they're seeing this stuff, that's happening. And then also, any sort of scout team, video, if they're filming for the defense, or if they're running video after practice that shows the defense, running against these plays and having to get that to the coaches, they're going to see all this, right? They're going to know what to expect before the game even starts. Okay? Still a lot of space along the edges. There's still room to cut it down, but they're doing a great job of keeping up with all this. Again, 4th and 1. Are we going to see the same play again? No. This one's just a straight drop back and throw into soft coverage. Okay? All right. Let's see here. Is there any way to tighten it down? Yeah. Yeah. About 75%. Okay. But it's first down inside the 10-yard line. Okay. Lining up. Tight formation. Single back. Straight ahead. Well. Sky cam getting out of the way. Straight ahead. Nope, it's that rollout again. Play action. Got a couple of yards. Alright. Okay. So can we keep it tighter than this? Yeah. Yeah. For sure. Okay. It's still at 75%. Same box from last time. Okay. All right. This one does not look like he's in the position to take a handoff. Step back throw. Okay. A little too fast for the receiver, but not too fast for the filmer. They were on top of it. Okay. Special teams. Kick is away. Some stuff going on back there. Referee's like, nope, don't want any part of that. Looks good. Okay. 11 seconds to go in the quarter before halftime. Okay. That was a really good job getting out to see where that ball went out of bounds and that there was a flag on the play. That means they're going to get the ball at the 25-yard line. Okay. Victory set. Or get us to halftime set. Okay. Kickoff. Yeah. Yeah. Looks good. Okay, top to bottom. Pretty tight. Getting a little tighter. I like it. Yeah, might be a little bit too much. Let's back off just to make sure we keep everybody in the shot. Yes. Okay. Now, why did I say all that pre-snap? Before the snap, okay, you got a setup here. Can we get tighter? Just a little bit. There's some motion, some shifting, a little tighter. Okay, well, let's back off a little bit. Okay, here's just a little tiny zoom in and out. You can kind of look into the filmer's thought process when you see that kind of stuff, right? You know, hey, I'm expecting a pass, right? So I can't really be, might not be as advantageous to stay in that tight. And I want to make sure that I keep these guys in the shot, which they did. Okay. All right, framing it up. Pause. Let's take a look at the 2/3. Okay, pretty close. They're pretty close to that line. Ball's here, line's here. Okay. Top to bottom, sideline to sideline. Okay, right. Double outs. Okay, both directions to the sideline. You can keep this a little lower here, staying a little tighter, but sideline to sideline makes a ton of sense to get out there to make sure you see all that. Okay. Nice. Look at that. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Okay. So they turn the camera on, right? Camera's on. They're recording at this point. They're pretty tight within, a few yards behind the running back. They're pretty tight within a few yards behind the safety. But now the safety is moving, right? The safety's adjusting. Do they adjust anything? Not really, because he's not even getting to the edge yet, right? Yeah, he's moving over that direction, but it's fine. No worries. We got this. Look at that. Okay. Now, if you can just recognize that it's a run, if you're paying attention to the safety on the side, he's cutting hard, right? He's 1, 2, bam, he's going the other direction. Right? As soon as you see that, you can immediately adjust to that. All right. Okay. Looks really good. First down. So says number 1. I, for one, believe him. Okay. That works. Holy moly. Let's go. All right. Flipping into the end zone. Completely unnecessary, but that's okay. Extra point is up, and it is good. All right. Special teams, kickoff. Again, keeping very tight behind the kicker, which is great. Okay. Here we go. Okay. Let's see. We got to keep the kicker in the shot, right? Which is going to make everybody a little smaller. Smaller than would be ideal, right? Would love to be able to just put the edge of the frame right here. Keep the kicker out of the frame or not prioritize them. Prioritizing making sure we see the ball come down into the returner's hands, which it does, okay? So if you were to be in there tighter without the kicker, you'd be here, okay? And so you would gain a tremendous amount of space if you were to do that, okay? A good 25 to 30%. But, all right, if we're saying, okay, we need to keep that kicker in the shot to see him lightly jogging behind the play, let's do that, okay? And he's still lightly jogging, but we're keeping it tight, okay? This guy's coming quick, so keeping it tight on that edge, I'd go ahead and shift it over, cutting it down and start to gain more space on the backside here, because that's the direction that the play is going, okay? I always say if the kicker wants to be in the play, he's going to be there, right? This is a fine shot. You can tighten this up, and you can put it right into this range, right? Again, that's the 70. This is the same box as before, right? This is the 70 to 75%. Exactly, right? So that, if we were to stay here, right? If we were to keep it right here, from the earlier in the play, here, right? Move it over and put it right on the edge of the backside of these guys, and then still see this returner, right? And then later on in the play, here, okay? And then guess what happens once you get into the point where you're getting to that part of the play where the kicker is going to get involved. He's there. Now he's in the shot, right? So that's kind of the reasoning behind why I say dropping the kicker immediately makes a ton of sense. And you can see sometimes the kickers don't even get to this point. They just kind of walk off the field. They're back there, in name only as a tackler, right? They're not really going to get involved in the play. But what they did there, if they're keeping the kicker in the shot, looked really good, and they did a really good job with it, with almost no extra space along the backside of the kicker or the returner, right? All right, so what I'm seeing here is just a lot of space, okay, on the backside here. This safety almost hits the edge at some point of this play right there. He's really close, right? Got a lot of space back here, and we got a safety almost running off the edge. So, you can just cut that down and give the safety more room on the, uh, to be able to continue to drop as needed. All right. And then also recognizing the run once the play develops, and you can see that everybody's condensing to one spot. Okay. Whether it's a run, a scramble, yards after the catch, the defense is always going to start to condense on that area. Okay. I'm going to say this is a pass. Nope. Run straight ahead. Okay. Just based on what I was seeing, I was expecting there was going to be a pass out of it. But since there was a run, you don't have to zoom out at all. Perfect. Okay. Okay. If this is a pass, which it is, but if you're seeing pass here, right? Do you want to have the safety right on the edge? If he's going to be dropping the way a safety does on a pass, do you want to have more room behind the safety or the quarterback? I vote safety. I vote putting more space behind the safety side. If you're going to have space at all, right? If you're going to keep it tight, that's great. You can't really get much tighter this cut top to bottom, so you're going to have space on one side or the other. It's okay to have some space behind the quarterback. Can we do like half of this? And give the safety more room on that side? Would make a ton of sense. I really like the way that they zoom after the play develops. This guy's down in the bottom corner, right? Instead of putting him in the center of the frame, he's down here, okay? The bottom quadrant of the frame, right? I say the 50%, but that's really a quarter of the frame. If you were to actually put this into this 50% space, 50% is on a diagonal, right? But if you do quadrants, 1, 2, 3, 4, okay, he's in the bottom quadrant of the frame, and that makes sense because he's in the bottom quadrant of the field, right? Compared to everybody else on the field, he is in this bottom left side, so that makes sense. We just came from this. He just came to this area. So that makes a ton of sense to keep him right there. Okay? Right there. All right? Let's just leave that box up for a second. This is where the ball is going to end up. Okay? That receiver stays in that area the entire time. Right? I've seen so many times when the filmers will just say, oh, that guy's got the ball, so I'm going to put him in the center of the frame, right? And then by doing that, this guy's here, and then you see, all this extra stuff off on the sidelines. Okay, at this point, the play's over. He's zooming up just to get a detailed shot, but you can see how much different this would be if right there when he catches the ball, you put the center of the frame right on this guy, right? And cut out all these guys way sooner than that just to show a bunch of extra stuff on the sidelines. Okay. Great work. Nice tight setup here to start. We're in the red zone. We're going down to score. Okay. Got a guy on this edge? Yeah. Look at this block. Okay. Are my receivers blocking? You know they are. Let's go. Okay. Are my offensive linemen blocking? Yeah, that's why he's getting so far down the field. Has he got a lead blocker? 76 says yes. Okay. And I believe him. And I'm not going to tell him he's wrong. Fantastic work. Straight ahead. Okay, well, let's see what options they had here. You got a tight end running this way, you got a back going straight ahead, and you got the quarterback going out this way. If the quarterback's going out this way, you can run, or if he's got a receiver going out into the flat, right? Those are your options, right? The receiver's not doing that. Nobody's chasing the quarterback. It's obviously clearly the run straight ahead, okay? So if you can recognize that without zooming out at all, would be ideal, right? If you're zooming out, you're just gaining space where there's no space needed. Okay, where is the space? Where is the person that we need to zoom out for? Out of all the motion here, all the movement, all the everything that's happening on the field, who are we zooming out to keep in the shot? Nobody. Okay. All right. Now, opposite. Okay. We got a guy coming in motion. We might be handing it off to him coming this way. That's a possibility. We might be drop back, quarterback draw straight up the middle. We might be going corner of the end zone. We might be going post. We might be going across the middle and then getting into the end zone. Let's see all these things that could possibly happen. Ha! Well, would you look at that? Sweet. I've seen that play 1,000 times, right? Worked for a team that ran that almost exclusively as our only run play, right? So there you go. Yep. To the end zone. Clearly nobody on that, route there. So, all right. So they're going for 2 here. All right. Pause. So, kind of going back to the same thing. We got space behind the quarterback that we're not going to need. We can bump that over this direction and give yourself a whole lot more space towards the defense, to the end zone, right? To the back corner of the end zone. And what does that do for you? It makes it so you don't have to zoom out, right? There's no zooming out that's really needed here. Nobody's coming this direction. You already saw to the back corner of the end zone. So the zoom out is completely unnecessary. Right there. Right? Once the ball's snapped, there's no reason to zoom out here at all. Right? All you did was gain an extra 12 yards behind the quarterback and then see more of the crowd and all that. Because look, right here at the snap. Okay, zooming out here to make sure that this guy stays in the shot. Fine. Okay, but this is the corner of the end zone. Okay, is anybody, is the pass going to the corner of the end zone? If it is, you might need to come up to make sure, because there's not any space for an actual person up here at the top. But this guy would have to come here before I would need to zoom out at all in that scenario. Okay, so just coming up at this point, all these receivers are going to this side of the field. So nobody down here. And so zooming out is not necessary at all. Panning up makes sense. Zooming out does this. %60. 60 to 65%. Okay. All right. Okay, no space behind the kicker. Kicks away. Okay. Just for context, it would be awesome if we were here, right? I was just saying on the last play that this was too far out, for the 2-point conversion. If we could be in this range on the kickoff, you can see what this does for you, right? Which player is this? Which player is this? Which player is this? Who are these guys? Are there? This is just a mass of people. This is just a couple of different colors smushed together, right? Here's somebody engaging somebody. Here's somebody. Here's somebody. Maybe 2 or 3 guys in this mix, right? I'm just looking down the line here. What am I seeing? I'm seeing crowd. I'm seeing sidelines. All to be able to keep this one guy in the shot. And what's he doing back there? He's getting down in the field, right? He's getting down there. I love that he's doing that. There's plenty of other shots where you can see him doing that to make sure if he's actually doing his job. But in this context, being here is really what matters. This is the meat of what's happening on this play. This is where all the interactions and collisions are taking place. This is what I want to see. Right? And if this kicker is doing his job, he's going to get to here, right? Let's see what he does. He gets to here before he pretty much gives up on this play. It's already taken care of by these guys, right? These guys that I've been talking about this whole time. These guys, right? This is it. Right there. Right there. That's where the majority of interactions that are going to need to take place on a kickoff are going to take place. And again, you want to make sure that you keep all those guys in the shot. If the coaches are asking for it, that's fine. I'd love to have a conversation with that coach and be like, hey coach, this is the difference. This is what I'm seeing as the difference between these 2 shots, and it's significant for the other 21 guys on the field. All right. Let's see here. Okay. Where are we at right here at this point? 75%. All right. Now, is there anything we can do to stay tight here? Well, cutting down the space behind the quarterback always helps. Giving more space to the safety also helps. Why? Because if the safety has extra space to drop back, you have no urge to zoom out. The zoom out the thing that triggers you to have to zoom out is the safety hitting this edge, right? Oh man, I got to zoom out to keep up with him. But if you've got space behind him, you don't have to do that. Right? This is a run straight ahead all day long. The safety's not even dropping back. And we're zooming out from the very snap of the ball. Right? If you had that extra space, you wouldn't have to do that. This motion even added extra space to the bottom of the frame, so you don't need, don't need that space either, right? So all of this space, you've got a lot of room to allow this play to develop before you make any motion whatsoever with the camera. And the zoom out, okay, would be with receivers going down the field. That would be this guy and this guy and this guy, okay? So are they doing that? Not even close. Not even a little bit. They are not running routes. These two guys are definitely not running routes or working out. Okay? All right. All right. Here we go. There we go. Let's go. That's it. All right? That's the difference. That's the difference. Yes. Complete opposite. This is the complete opposite from the last play, right? The motion, right? There's motion. Well, let's tighten up because of the motion, okay? Now we don't have that space over here. We don't have space behind the offense. We have a decent amount of space behind the offense and the defense, all right? Are we going to use that space behind the offense? Yeah. There it is. Boom. Boom. Okay? Now, we didn't make any adjustments here, so that's fine. We're going to allow this stuff to all play out before making any zoom outs, and there it is. Right? Still within 5 yards both directions. No yards here. Right? Ball's away, and now, here's the ball. We know that. We watch that ball go to this player. We know that there's a guy here. We know that there's a guy here. We know that there's possibly some interactions taking place with the quarterback for a brief moment. After that, he's hands off, can't touch him. Okay, and there he goes. He's out now. Quarterback's just got dropped out of the play. Now we're all 21. Okay, makes sense to drop the quarterback out of the play. This guy's next. Okay, all right. So we're coming up and we're gonna get into here. Right there. Okay. Now we're down to all 19 guys in this shot. Deductive reasoning here. Okay. Now, the one thing I would say is keep these guys in the shot. Don't add these guys, but that's fine. It's not a big deal. All right. Great job on that. That's the difference in that. Okay. Oh, yeah. Seeing what's staying tight to start. The setup is a huge part of it, right? If you're tight to start, you can stay tight. Okay. If you're out wide to start, I'm not really sure where these guys are. They're on my screen somewhere. They're in the frame somewhere, but it's, I'm not sure who's going to hit the edge at any given time. Okay. If I'm keeping guys on the edge to start, I can just keep them on the edge the entire play. Like that guy was there. Okay. This guy's here. Guess what's going to happen? We always know that's going to be the case, right? This is always a possibility that he's going to loop around deep, which he does, okay? And then this guy's going to be the main character on this side of the play until, a certain point in any situation. And there he is. Now he's overtaken by this receiver on this side, right? So you do that over and over again. You just kind of get used to that as the playbook for a filmer every single play, and it makes it very, very straightforward. Not easy, okay, but very straightforward. This is my role. This is my responsibility for this team, is to keep these guys on the edge and to expect that that's going to change at some point, and I need to be able to accommodate for that as well, and expect that chaos is going to happen at any given moment, and I need to be expecting that as well, right? Not necessarily that I'm going to change anything about what I'm doing here, because it's possible that that at any given time the ball is just going to bounce backwards 20 yards. I'm not going to add another 20 yards back there. But it's possible that if it does do that, I need to adjust at that moment. All right, beautiful. All this is fantastic. This whole series has been great. You know, excellent across the board. Mm-hmm. Awesome. Okay. All right. Can we tighten this up at all right here? You top to bottom. Okay. Top to bottom, corner to corner of the end zone. You've got the quarterback on this side. This is pretty decent. You know, this is pretty good footage. This is everything I would want to see on this play, right? Um, there's a little bit extra space on this side, but it's not really that big of a deal. You can certainly cut this top down, which could cut the side down. You know, if you were to do that, you'd be here, but this is an extreme level of differentiation to keep all this in the shot, right? So like right there would be as much as you'd need to do, and that's 95, 90 to 95%. Okay, that's good. That's really good. Very impressed with the footage on this drive. Okay, perfect setup. Look at that, tight to both sides, no movement. I got to see all that. I got to see guys diving in there like Superman, and it's good. Okay. Kick is away. Again, if you're going to be keeping the kicker in the shot, do it like the Commanders are. Okay. If I can find the spot. This is within 10 yards. That's decent. Okay. He actually caught the ball on the goal line. Also really good. Okay. Zooming out to make sure that you see it. Okay. I want to see where that ball actually comes down in this frame. There it is. Okay. When the ball actually lands is right here. Okay. Within 5 yards, within 3 yards behind the kicker, and then zooming in. Okay. Keeping the kicker jogging in the shot just on this side. Gaining some space here. If you didn't have the kicker, you'd be able to keep up with this a whole lot better. Okay. And then the kicker would re-enter the shot or not if he's going to stay back there. So he's getting off the field as quickly as possible. All right. Looks really good. The main thing is seeing how far that ball traveled and where it landed and how long was it in the air for. That's something that they can review as kickers, as coaches, and accommodate as needed. Really great job here, keeping everybody in the shot on routes, but keeping it tight. Okay, there weren't any long routes going down the field. Okay, all within reason. It's decent. Looks good. All right, let's just take a look, see if we can cut this down at all. Okay, you got 10 yards behind the quarterback here. Okay, they're using it, a significant amount of it at that point, not zooming out too much from there. Any amount of zoom out at that point, you can just cut it down and allow people to fill that frame on the backside of the quarterback, and then you're not going to continue to gain space while you're zooming out if this safety changes direction, which he does. right? But then right there, you're within 10 yards in both directions. Okay. Fourth and 3. Punting. Ball's up. Okay. Alright, hold on a second. So, once the punter, kicks the ball, he's kind of pointing up at the sky. He's not really getting too involved here. He's starting to run a little bit behind the play. This is, the guy that we're focused on. These guys aren't really in the play as much here anymore either. So I'd really kind of be focused here. Okay. What could we do to make that happen? Right. I always say you can leave the punter in the shot just in case there's a roughing the kicker penalty. But you really could cut it down. Right about here. So that would be consistent with, where the majority of the action is taking place. There is some action going on back behind this over here, these 4 guys, but it's not anything significant, in my opinion. Pretty expendable to make sure that we're seeing this. This is what I want to see. And guess what? They immediately expend those guys to get down to this, right? This is what I'd love to see the entire play. I'd love to see all these guys. How did they get here, right? How did this all happen? How did we get to this point? There's gunners, right? How did he get off of that block so quick, right? Which, that happens pretty early. It's right here. Gone. Ooh, buddy, right? I want to see more of that. I want to see less of this, less of this, less of this, and more of this, right? And then obviously I want to see where the ball lands. And then how does he make that play? Fantastic. Let's go. Awesome. All right. But if you're tasked with keeping the punter in the shot, at some point they dropped him again anyway. But, if the coaches want him to keep the punter in the shot longer, they definitely did that. Good framing. Looks good. I'm seeing guys getting involved in there, getting in tight. Great tight setup here. Keeping those guys on the edge. Look at that. Makes it easy. Not easy. Shouldn't say easy. Nothing in the NFL is easy, correct? Right? Something I've heard time and time again. There's nothing easy in the NFL. You got to work for every last bit of it. But as far as keeping guys on the edges, right? Very straightforward. Here's a guy. He's going forward. Here's a guy who's going backwards, right? So that guy becomes that side. How about on this side? Here's a guy going backwards. Here's a guy running very, very fast down the field. Well, he's going to take that spot, right? Ball's away. There's the guy. Now everybody's running that direction. Okay, this guy's going to continue on, try to get people to follow him. They don't. They're not buying that. They're coming in, right? And they're condensing down. So we already dropped that receiver. Now we're looking at this. Right, we already dropped the quarterback. Now we're looking at this. This is all 20 guys, okay? One receiver on one side, one quarterback on the other. That's 20 guys in the shot. And then they're zooming up. Okay, really good stuff. It's really good. All right, fourth quarter, okay? Lions are up big. It's a 19-point game here. And doesn't look like they're slowing down at all. Right, so we'll see what happens. Lights went out for a second. They're back. Thought this was the Ravens 49ers Super Bowl there for a second. Okay. Looking good. All right. Right here, we've got a lot of extra space behind the quarterback and the quarterback, right? Once he hands the ball off, you can drop him out of the shot and then not zoom out any further. They do a good job of recognizing that the ball is coming this direction, but at some point they zoom out again, and I'm not really sure why. If the quarterback's expendable in this, which he is at that point, you can just you can start to zoom in from here, not zoom out. Zooming out and gaining more space, right? All right. And I say the quarterback's expendable. He's not. He's very important. Obviously, always going to be the case, right? But there's other plays where you'll see he gets dropped out immediately, right? So it's not like he's expected to be in the shot at all times. He's right here, right? This guy, is expected to be in the shot. This guy's expected to be in the shot. But at some point, they're zooming in to get up closer, and there they are, right? The quarterback almost 1,000 times is going to be doing nothing but that behind the play, so you can just leave him out of it. Okay. To the house. All right. So what can we do to tighten this up? Well, space. So much space. Okay. There's so much space behind the quarterback. Elon Musk wants to go to it. All right. Let's see here. Could we tighten this down? Yeah. It's just a joke. It's not that excessive, right? It's fine, right? But if we were to cut it out, we'd gain a lot of space. This is close to 70% football. Right? And then we're dropping the quarterback. And now we're dropping all the guys that are putting, their finger up in the air. All right. Kicking it. And it's blocked. What? Holy smokes. All right. There you go. Okay. The one change that could happen on this play happens. And guess what? They accommodate immediately, right? No movement beyond that. Everything happens. And then ball's bouncing around. They're going to zoom out to go find it. Figure out where it went after that. Okay. Great job. Okay. That extra point could come back to haunt them. Again, just a joke. They're up 41-16 at this point, so not going to be a factor in this game. They're kind of closing it out. All right. Let's see how the Commanders close this one out. Knowing that they're down, what can they do to put some drives together, cross the end zone as much as possible, not give away too much of their playbook, to certainly a consideration. So sideline to sideline, perfect. And the ball's up. Wow. This play is filmed really well. Okay. They're using sideline to sideline every last inch of this field, right? And they're using it like this guy is right on the edge, right here. He steps the line. This guy's right on the edge, right? This is sideline to sideline to the top of the chains, just barely off of the sideline on this side. You gotta be there. You have to zoom out for it. And this is it. Now, once they get to this point, they stop. And that's the difference. They stop. They know that nothing's going to take place outside of this, and they stop. I don't see that from every single filmer at any level of football, including the NFL. But this is really, really, really well done. Okay? They actually do zoom out a little farther than that, but that would be great if they could stop right here, right? This is the point. And, this is within reason. Just a slight zoom out beyond that. Really, really good job. All right. Very well done. Couldn't do it much better than that. You could do it a slight bit better than that, right? But, that's the difference in recognizing where is this ball going, right? When we're talking about anticipating what's going to happen on this play and responding to when it does, anticipating that the pass is not going 10 yards outside of the boundaries of the field of play. Simple as that. All right. Fantastic job. So tight, 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 still tight, recognizing it's a run. Don't zoom out. Staying in close. Beautiful. Tight. Quick pass. All right. Awesome. Third and 5. Okay, gotta have it to get the first down. Back shoulder gets thrown to the ground. Looking for a flag. Okay, but we got one receiver to this sideline, one receiver to this sideline. Let's see if they stay tight at this point. Did they stop? Yeah, about the same. Pretty close. Pretty close on that one. I'll give it to you. Okay. It's even tighter than the last time, which I really liked the last play as well. So, all right. Yes. Looks good. Top to bottom, it's as tight as you can go. You can put all your extra space to the defensive side, and then you would not have to zoom out at all for this play. Right? There's nobody going to the boundaries. Nobody going top to bottom. So if all of your space was on the defensive side and you cut this down, you would have another 10 yards, 7 yards behind the deepest man on this side. Okay, and then you don't have to zoom out to keep anybody in the shot. Right, by zooming out, get into this frame. Wow, just a little bit of zooming out where it was tight to start turned into 70%. Very, very quickly. This is tight, top to bottom. Okay, let's see it. Let's put it in the box, right? What happened to this great setup at the snap of the ball, right? How do we maintain this level of detail in our shot? This 90 to 95%. That's as good as it gets, right? Can we keep it there? Well, what's going to change? Zooming out and players condensing. Okay, they're no longer going to the sidelines. This guy's no longer going to the sidelines. He's now cutting off this defender. The defenders are all condensing. So it goes back to setting it up correctly, and then where this setup is where we're at, right? Okay, let's say if we were to just kind of mimic the boundaries of the frame, right? Outside of that, And then if we were to just, let's say, move this over this direction, right? And now we've got space, more space behind. It actually comes out to here, right? Giving the safety more space and allowing all of this to just take place without having to zoom out at all. Second and 8, passing. Yep. Okay, looks good. Third and 4. We got 4 yards on that, so passing. Nope, run up the middle. Okay, sweet. All right. So I'm just looking at it. I'm saying, hey, they were kind of in this similar setup here last time, and it was a pass. Expecting that to be the case here, unless you see this big open space here that you want to run to. Maybe that's what is the difference maker. And so, you know, let's do that instead. And so I'm expecting pass. I'm seeing receivers running routes. No, they're not running routes. They're breaking down to make blocks, right? I'm seeing a handoff, you know, mesh point right here, and I'm not seeing anybody breaking off and the quarterback rolling out this direction. So it's a run, right? They recognize it pretty dang quick and get up on it. Looks pretty good. Even with a little bit of zoom out on that, they saw it. I'm saying pass on this. Nope, run again. Okay. All right. So if I'm expecting a pass, I've got my finger ready to go on the zoom to make sure that I'm going to keep everybody in the shot. But guess what? This guy doesn't even move, right? At the snap of the ball, bam. He's stoic, right? I want to stay stoic like him, right? I want to wait to see what happens. Everybody's going this way. Everybody's running this way. Everybody's running this way. Okay. If I'm going to see anything coming off of that, it's going to be the quarterback coming this way and somebody breaking out into this side of the ball. I don't see that, so we can just let it ride, and they do. Okay. I'm saying pass. I've been wrong this entire drive. There it is. Okay. And there's the exact same thing I said on the last play. Right? Instead of, they've been setting this up, setting it up, setting it up. Now, keep. Tight end rolls out into the flat, little dish off to the end zone. All right. Look at that. Look at that. Okay. Seeing all this movement. Everybody's moving this direction. Camera's moving this direction. Blocks are being thrown down here. And now, nope, it's coming back this way. So guess what happens? Coming right back down. Not zooming out. Zooming out a little bit, but coming back down is the key feature there, right? Going up and then coming back down. And then zooming in. Okay, but you can see the difference, you know, between saying there's a little bit of zooming out as opposed to just, oh no, there's a pass, so I just need to zoom out and show everybody, everywhere, everything, the universe, right? You can see how much more measured that was to make sure that we're only zooming out just a little bit and then panning down. Oh, he didn't quite get there, did he? Okay. Didn't quite make it. Oh. Okay. Similar thing here. Is there any zooming out necessary? No. Did they? Yeah, a little bit. Again, very measured, right? Not bad. I would say if you really want to make that as perfect as possible, set it up, recognizing that nobody is coming off your frame and you don't have to move at all. And that's onside kick, straight ahead. Sweet. Great job. Very well done. Okay. Gonna tighten this up a little bit? Sure are. Got the time. You can do that. No motion. I was expecting the motion after the little quarterback, back step thing. Quarterback does this little step. Usually you see somebody go in motion at the time. Not this time. Okay. Did he miss it? Or is that just a thing they do just to throw people off? People like myself be like, wait a second. The defense is like, wait a second. Right? Aha, that's exactly what we needed to throw you guys off, to hand the ball off to number 5. Okay? There's room to tighten this up. Right? Front to back. Not bad. They recognize it pretty quick that this is a run straight ahead. Again, closing out the game, keeping it on the ground, trying to work the clock as much as possible. Very tight setup here. 5 yards total. Again, it's a run. Don't expect a pass at all. When you've got a team up by 20 points, 19 points this majority of the second half, they're just trying to get the clock to 0. Yep, I say that, and then of course that happens, right? So, Detroit, the X Factor. You never quite know what to expect, right? All right, let's see here. Love it. Straight ahead. Yep. Back to the ground. Pass. 3rd and 9. They're passing. Yep. Okay. Fantastic job. Filmer saw it all day long. He knew this was a pass formation. He knew that it was a pass situation and was expecting nothing different and nailed it. Absolutely nailed it. As did this kicker. Okay. Kicker nails it. Puts him up another 3 points. Kicker jogging behind the play. He might make a tackle one of these days, but let's hope we never get to that point. Okay, let's focus on the other 21 guys. Looking good. All right. Great setup. Perfect. Beautiful. Perfect setup, exact same formation, maybe not, maybe some slight variation in it, but from my perspective, that's the exact same formation, same exact play, nothing really different from one play to the next from a filmer's perspective. 3 minutes. Oh no! Hey, got the ball to him. Same exact formation, same exact result. 2:15. It's like Bill Burr in Philadelphia here, just counting it down. Okay. Punts away. Going to find it. Let's go. Finally. Okay. Here it is. Punts away. Punter, you're out. Okay. We got 21 guys that are making plays right now. We got to go see them. Sorry. If you want to get in the play, you can show up right here at the middle of the W in the middle of the field. We got guys down here. We got guys up here. This is all 21 guys. Let's do that. Yeah. Okay. Not knocking the other ones if you're keeping the punter in the shot, but I just don't like it. All right. Beautiful. Perfect. 2 minutes. I wish nothing but the best for everyone. Straight ahead. Absolutely saw it the entire way. Situationally, of course, that's what's going to happen. Formation-wise, of course, that's what's going to happen. Filmers looking at it and saying, of course, they're just going to run it straight ahead. And if you're wrong, you can accommodate for it. Straight ahead. Okay, you can accommodate on the fly and make sure that you adjust accordingly. 36 seconds. Closing it out. Kneeling on it. Best play in football. Great job, Washington Commanders. Love it. Absolutely love it. So many good things. Look at all these excellence going straight down in a line, especially this last drive, right? There was a whole lot of really good, and there was entire stretches like that, right? A few things to clean up here and there, nothing major. Definitely always room to improve, right? There's always room to improve. It's a matter of identifying where that is and how often it happens. Plays, 152 plays, 138 were positive. Fantastic job, okay? That's 91% of the time was positive. A bonus, 66% of the time you were doing excellent work, which bumps it up to a 97.43%. Right there, knocking on the 100% range. And then anything above 100% is you doing excellent work, the majority of the time to get it over that 100%. So awesome job. Very excited to see what the Commanders put on the field for 2026 and the Lions. I'm looking forward to both of these teams this upcoming season. Until then, this is Cameraman Grades.